just imagine for a moment a world where Armenia didn't exist. You know, I've been to Sadarabad. I've seen where the Armenians with flintlocks and swords managed to stop the Turks. 1918. If not for such bravery, Armenia will not exist. But it still might not exist tomorrow. And I'm not being over dramatic when I'm saying this, because, you know, it's of course struggling economically. We know this. But also we know the threat on the borders. And many of the villages are depopulated, as Dr. Kirkavian has mentioned. It's a great danger. And there is no time to waste, in my view, because of the politics across the border. We know that there are people that will do things purely to keep themselves in power. I work for the UN, so I can't say their names, but you know who I'm talking about. So, solutions. I believe Armenia needs a new vision. Actually, you already have that vision in you. And it's been mentioned several times that there are many projects, many NGOs already working together. That's okay. That's good. That's what we should build upon. What Adoptive Village is all about is really building on Armenia's unique qualities at both ends, both the villager end, because they've got to do stuff, and also working with the diaspora to make sure that there's a building of trust. Because I think after the 1990s corruption, there's a lack of trust. I think we have to be honest here. And we need to get past this. We need to build on what we can, build that trust, and try and reach out. And I'm not just talking about the diaspora. You're all very precious because you understand it's part of you. But there are many friends of Armenia, not just those married to Armenians. There are people that really do care as long as they know that what they're doing is going to a good cause. Australians and New Zealanders are loving people. They're honest people in general. I would say that they're very charitable people. So this is not about asking the diaspora to go to and do everything. It's about asking the diaspora to coordinate. And maybe the diaspora is only raising 1% of what's necessary in terms of skills, tools, money, yes, but not necessarily just money. Annie, you're very good at this. I normally have to say next all the time. If Origins, and this is our lofty dream, so please pardon me, maybe it will not happen, but we're trying hard, okay? But if it attracts tourists, and by the way, Lord of the Rings attracted 32% extra tourists over a couple of years. So can you imagine? It's in the realm of between $275 and $300 million every year if the same thing could be duplicated in a small way in Armenia. So if the tourists came, are they ready? Are the villagers ready? You've been there, haven't you? I would say no. My wife hated me for putting this picture because she thought this was rather
I like it.
I did not, because I don't want to see a whole bunch of Lada cars making a wall for a village. Sorry, the Armenian landscape is very beautiful. I don't want to see rubbish there. I want to see people busy in the village cleaning up at least, right? Ready to accept tourists, able to speak a little bit of English maybe, French maybe, if the French diaspora are coming, whatever. But they need to be ready. And I think if every village came with, a mentor, like nobody's left behind, every village has someone to turn to, then obviously morale is increased. And people then with a higher morale, I think it's only human nature, get busy and start doing things, right? That's what it's all about. It's about raising morale and making sure everyone has a future. So what is Adopted Village? Well, Dr. Garkavian was very kind and outlined it. So you have the basic idea. It's very simple. What we're doing is systematically connecting the diaspora with villages. So perhaps if you just go back one, because yeah. So you see each of the provinces, it'll pop up again in a second, have like Sunik has the Russian area. You know, you have 2.5 million, I think, Armenians in Russia. But remember that they're not as well-to-do as many people in, say, California or Australia, right? So what we did is systematically went through and looked at the number of diaspora and their wealth, right? The country's wealth, not the diaspora's wealth. Sorry. and we matched them with the number of villages that were in each province, as best that we could. So the orange bit in the middle there is Vaotsur, of course, and being the smallest, that was naturally the Asia Pacifics, because Asia Pacific has the smallest diaspora, the smallest base to build on. But it's also personally my favourite province anyway, so I think it's very nice. So next. Just one point from that slide. It's not intended to usurp any work of the non-government organisations. It's there mainly to just make sure that the NGOs have a framework that ensure that no village is left behind. You understand? So, especially in the beginning when trust is an issue, I know in New Zealand we were very grateful for the New Zealand diaspora who we met with in the last few days. One of their ideas is to use some of the NGOs to try and create that trust going forward, and then they can build on that. I think that's a very good idea. The established NGOs are doing great work. We don't want to pull the rug from that, but we do want to focus their attention on areas that need that help, okay, and support them, support the NGOs. So it's a win-win situation for all parties. So this is a little hard to see, but you can understand that it's a cycle of improvement. And in the middle there, you do see central or provincial government. You know, the Vaotsur governor knows what we're doing. Is aware of it. We brief. He understands that we're trying to work directly, and surprisingly, that's not an issue, because he knows that if he strengthens his village, then his administration is strengthened, right? So it's all about the diaspora taking little steps, and I mean, I'm an auditor. I wouldn't say audit necessarily, but at least oversight what's happening, either with the micro projects, which, by the way, you guys decide, not the village. The village can submit ideas. You can submit your own ideas. Sometimes the village don't know what they want. Sometimes the village comes up with things that maybe you might think, oh, that's a little expensive, or really that's not going to help a lot of people apart from one or two. Okay, you'll have your own ideas. The diaspora is in control. So you might decide to just chunk a project, just do a little bit at a time, right, until you're comfortable. You might send a diaspora representative. You might get photographs from the diaspora, that sort of thing. So it should be in some way auditable. The villages have to make reports every is it 3 months?
Yep.
Yeah, so every 3 months anyway. So it's a part of the process that they're used to anyway. And I would say that this is a very good way of looking at how effective is that micro project and what are we doing next. So it's a step-by-step approach. And at each stage, the diaspora can step back, reset things, and make their decisions from there. So really, that's it. Micro projects, these are designed to be as flexible from the tiniest things. Like, for example, in Sharton last year, we did several micro projects. I'll not bore you with all of them, but one of them was rubbish bins. Why is that? Well, it's to help clean up the village and to get a sense of responsibility and all of that sort of thing. And I think we'll talk later about some of the things that we already have done. These, I think, are very important for the village's morale. Making sure that they understand that doesn't matter how small it is, we will support them if we can. At the moment, the micro projects are on the website, but I expect in the future, like you've already got a Adopt a Village Australia page on the Facebook. This will be managed through the Facebook page, right? So that the Facebook page becomes like a repository, a library of ideas and micro projects and progress reports, and maybe if somebody goes to the village, they'll post some pictures, and it'll become sort of a one-stop shop for people to really get involved and to understand. And again, I underline, not just for the diaspora. You wouldn't believe how many people want to help Armenia when they understand, its Christian history and the danger that it's in. These are some of the micro projects. Unfortunately, maybe we could click. You're not on. Are you online? Okay, that's okay. This is actually a video, but we can't play for it. This is some of our dear friends who took a container full of Lebanese pines. The ones that do the pine nuts? Yeah, and they give the future income for the villages. We thought it was such a wonderful, because have you noticed that many parts of Armenia are denuded from forestry? There's no trees. So it's doing two things. It's environmental, and it's looking at income. And we just thought it was the most wonderful micro project. This is an example. And they brought them all the way from Lebanon, because he's Lebanese, so it's wonderful. But there are many other things that one can do. And examples include the agricultural diversification. I just walk around and I can see subsistence farming, people doing the same thing that they've done for centuries, right? But Australia and New Zealand, one thing we do really well is agriculture in many types, right? Why can't we find people that can help with, say, horticulture or some other ways or smarter ways of doing it, right? Even if it's just dairy farming or whatever it might be. Aren't Australians and New Zealanders the best at that? Can't we bring some assistance to show them new ways of doing things? Sorry, go back. I wanted to emphasise also IT, because it'll keep the young people in the villages if they can be connected. And something I noticed about young Armenians, they're brilliant with IT. They're really clever with what they do, and also Armenians. I also noticed you've been to Vermissage, right? Can you see what Armenians can make with your hands? Trouble is, nobody knows this. Hardly anybody knows where Armenia is yet. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. They say Romania, right? What we need to do is to have high-value craft industries like they have in Europe, right? Doesn't matter what it is, tin soldiers, whatever it might be. And these are made in Armenia. The best quality. I know that you made the first carpets. I know all this, but most people do not know about your history and your crafts. And by the way, you're losing some of your craft skills because the people in the villages aren't there anymore. And that's another thing that we're trying to work on. Okay, so we need to build on that and to create new craft industries. These are all just ideas, right? Some things. And just before we go, I just want to emphasise, in organising, like Dr. Arkavian, he's like one person. Well, I think he's maybe 10 the way he works. But if we can build a little core of people, then just 1 or 2 people per micro project. Maybe you want to choose just 3 or 4 to start with. 2 or 3 people per micro project. All you've got to do is just work with the village. Astak will talk to you later, and talk about what's best for that micro project, how we can do it. For example, just recently we did a kindergarten from the Thai diaspora in Rin village, and my wife worked with to find which company could provide the equipment and it was safe for the children, and by the way, they wouldn't put the money in the pocket, all that stuff. She worked hard to find it, and that's an example of a lesson from that can be posted on the Facebook, that not just the Australian diaspora can learn from, all the other diasporas, if we can upscale this around the entire Armenia, can learn from these ideas and look at the companies which are reputable, or the people that do the right thing, right? So that's very important. But one person should be in charge of the oversight, and that person should not do the micro projects themselves, because that's just too much. That's my view. So you see, I talked about Sharton, R&E, New Zealand. You know, New Zealand's only got about, I think, about 120 people, and we had about a third of the diaspora turn up in Auckland. Isn't that amazing? If we had a third of the diaspora turn up here, we'd have 15,000, I think. But you're worth 15,000 to me, really, because each of you are heroic in my view. You know, you've taken the effort for Armenia, and I really appreciate it. We have some work also from the Thai diaspora, and we're in villages, as I said. But these are only a start. If you want to know, I think I'm on the link there, the Adopt a Village, that's on the Facebook, right? Okay, so if people want to know more about the details, you can always click on that link and learn more. Next. Oh, and you don't need to know where Sharton is, I'm sure. This was just put there for people that want to see the presentation later. You may not know where Sharton is, but it's it's there south of Lake Sevan and east of Yerevan and Vailsor. Next. So I've already talked about many of these. We can go on. Okay, so some proposed projects. I believe this is where you might come in. I don't know whether I should talk about these because, you know, some of these, like installation of bus stops, might be very important for the village, but you need to talk with them to understand why it's important. Like, I can actually understand in wintertime why you might need a bus stop, but you also should look at things that bring some possibility of employment for young people as well. This is my emphasis. I really want to emphasise that. Signs prohibiting shedding rubbish in undesignated places. You know, Australia and New Zealand, when I was young, I still remember people that would throw rubbish, and we had a big campaign to stop it in the 60s and 70s. I remember as a child, yes, I'm that old. And we changed our attitude. And, you know, that sort of thing, signs and education is really important, I think, for Armenia. Improvements of sightseeing places, Shutterbank. The other place, the area, I just want to mention Yagigis here, which is just not far from Sharton. It's not just about Sharton, it's about all the villages in the area. It's just Sharton's the main point of contact. Yagigis is a very precious place. I don't know if you know, has mountain goats and a beautiful area, and also sitting above on the mountains is Sabattaberg, which is the castle, and it's amazing. Trouble is, it takes about an hour and a half to walk up there, and we need to do something about that. That's for the future. Does anybody know how to make cable cars? No vision is too small.
I can't design it, but I can.
So you see the sort of ideas: kindergarten playgrounds, community playgrounds. I like the idea of water pipelines, because water pipelines can bring agriculture, can bring health, tourism, and all sorts of things. So that's the sort of thing that you need to discuss with the diaspora. Remember, it's all under your control. That's the bottom line. Is there a next? Okay, so the conclusion. Adopt a Village is intended to bring self-sufficiency and a pride to Armenia. And I'm not joking when I say this. Honestly, Armenia has the potential to become the Caucasus Switzerland, because Armenia has actually more than Switzerland. Now, my grandmother was Swiss, and I'm entitled to say this. Armenia has more than Switzerland. You have a deep and rich culture and a history Switzerland never had. But what did the Swiss do? They used their heads. They used what they have. And Armenia can do that. And you can turn yourselves as a nation of people, as a nation, into the strongest nation there and be very, very proud, as I'm sure you already are, but in fact it can be 10 times what it is. Because right now Armenia's potential is great, but its present state is not. And I don't mean to sound down, not in any way negative, but we need to address there's a big difference between where they are and where they should be, especially for the young people. So tourists bring jobs, ideas. When tourists come, do you notice that some of the tourists are business people? And they see things, they see ideas, they bring entrepreneurs with us. And maybe, just maybe, some of the diaspora, maybe some of you sitting in this room even, will even build such a close relationship that you'll return to the homeland. And wouldn't that be great? this is my final slide. I just want to really try and get, I like Richard Branson. He's a bit of a crazy person like me, but what I like about him is that he's not afraid to go for something big. I mean, who in his right mind would go for a movie trilogy? I'm going to make a movie trilogy. That's crazy, right? Maybe. Maybe. I don't care if I got 10% chance of doing it. My son Daniel. Where's my son Daniel? Yeah. You thought I was crazy, right? but at the end of the day, if it's 10%, it's 10% more than zero, so I don't care. And he says, if your dreams don't scare you, they're too small. So I implore you to get behind what you can, get behind your community, don't let Armin do it all, and let's see if we can make this work and transform Armenia.
Thank you, Len.